Welcome again to the Sophie Scholl Society. I'm Pastor Mel McGinnis of the Kind Tone Congregational Church. With me is Shirley Lehman. And as we've been talking, we've been seeing this in the context of Sophie Scholl's life, who was very active politically. But before she became active politically, her sister said Sophie at one time was apolitical. And as Sophie became politically engaged, she did so at great risk to her life. Even so, she distributed those pamphlets throughout Germany, even though it was very subversive to do, and against the Fuhrer, which brought the Fuhrer and wrath against her and her brother Hans. Sophie, though, wanted to encourage free discussion. It did not intimidate her that people disagreed. She wanted to have debate. In fact, Sophie was dating a German soldier, Fritz Harnagel. And in that context, she was yet able to have a relationship with him, though they were on opposite sides. Sophie was that kind of open-minded individual, having firm convictions and yet not being afraid to discuss with another person who had an opposite point of view. Shirley, as you're here and have had that awakening, born again, as well as a political awakening of sorts, how has that affected your life personally?
Very much so. I guess as I've grown or been educated more and more through the last several years, and I'm more convinced of my beliefs and understanding politically, and my love for the Founding Fathers and the Constitution and our great documents, the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. I just have such reverence for the beginning of this country, and I just pray to God that it keeps going. And so I feel like I'm a true patriot, and I feel like people that I've become, I'm around now, are patriots. I really want to be with people that are like-minded. Of course, everybody does. But I've found in my family, it can be difficult because, I love all of my family with all of my heart, but we are, like this country, quite divided. Sometimes it's like, do I even dare to say that? But, it's the truth. Part of my family, I think, become far left, liberal. No, far left is more accurate. Progressive is more accurate. Not classical liberalism, but far left. But I think half of my family on the left side of the spectrum think they're still Democrats, which I feel in my heart the old Democrat Party is gone. It's just a name only. It's this progressive party, and I am a constitutional
Conservative?
Conservative, yes. And so now, and since I've been active for 10 years now in the Tea Party, I feel like there are people in my family who look at me like I'm a kook, like I'm just a real right-wing nut job, and I don't feel that at all. I think I'm a patriot because I do love the beauty, the liberty that this country has alone in this world, the greatest country of freedom in this world that's ever been. I remember reading early on The Making of America by Leo Skousen. And then, I read The 5,000-Year Leap early on in my political journey. It makes so much sense. Before this nation was born, there was no nation on this planet ever with the freedoms and liberty that we have. So why wouldn't you just love it and want to keep it going and understand it and I don't know, just fight for it is the word.
So it's like you knew as you became a patriot that we had this exceptional country.
Yes.
But as you began to study more, like the 5,000 year leap, you began to find out why we are exceptional.
Right.
It provides the foundation for that exceptional status that is apparent in our Declaration and Constitution.
Right. And you know, and the idea that we are a country by the people, of the people, and so for the people. And the idea that we should maintain a limited government, which we haven't been. Every year or every decade, we've gotten heavier and heavier, more government at the top. And we were not founded to be that way. So, I mean, we have to try to pull back as much as we can to get it more, the government's not so top heavy. Anyway, well, there's people in my family that thinks that, you know, I'm just a little kooky. And so I feel like my family is divided, like this country really is nowadays. And I think it's sad.
And I think your family is indicative of other families.
Yes.
It's very
Sure.
difficult to
Sure.
talk about these kind of subjects.
It is. And so really, to make it easier, we just don't go there. We just don't talk about it very much.
Yeah.
And if we do, I mean, I'm afraid there's arguing, and you know, neither side wants to argue or offend the other person, but it's kind of like inevitable. So we just don't go there. But I mean, I love my whole family, and but I feel bad that there's that division. And I would love to be able to be the catalyst to bring us together. And I just so want to be able to articulate more what I believe and just about the principles of this country.
Do they say why you're goofy or kooky?
Well, I guess not particularly, just that I am.
Okay.
Just that you're just too far. They think I'm an extremist, and I can't understand that, because I just feel like I'm grounded in the principles of freedom. Why is that extreme?
So it's almost like the Constitution itself is extreme.
Yeah. So I mean, that's it. I think how sad that so many people in this country nowadays are just kind of acting like the Constitution is just this old, tired, worn out document. It doesn't really count for much anymore. Well, oh, God forbid. You know, it does. It's our foundation. We have to keep that alive, and we need to get back to it.
Yeah.
You know? And I just feel so bad that the educational system of this country has gone so far left. It has. I mean, to just the things that have happened. No prayer in school. You can't have your religious groups studies even after school. I mean, some schools are very against that.
Thankfully around here we do have what's called the Impact Program, which is a tremendous outreach into the schools, and the schools at least are very open to having us there. And it seems like, though, the openness of conversation within the family is strained. In other words, does it go from conversation to argument? Or does it go to put downs? Or how would you describe it?
I think the put downs are kind of behind our backs. I mean, unfortunately, I've had some conversations where, you know, you just feel uncomfortable. You just feel like, you know, we got to change the subject. Although I've said before, my favorite subjects are religion and politics, and what's more important to talk about. But I feel like my shortcoming is that I get emotional. I get fired up too easily. I need to calm myself down and collect my thoughts and just get my thoughts out better. That's my shortcoming. But I wish that we could have more dialogue and I guess understand where each other's coming from. More.
Yeah, or why each other feels the way they do.
Why do they? Yeah, why do? And I think there's a lot about influences. What has influenced you? What has influenced you to be thinking, I don't know, like leftists, like free this, free that, and the taxpayers pick up the bill for everybody. And the whole, I mean, it just goes to the immigration thing now. It's huge. I mean, there's big divides on that, of course. And coming from families, my relatives, my grandparents are immigrants, and they did it the legal way from Sweden. And I think, people, are you losing track that there's the rule of law, the right way to become citizens of this country, do it the right way. My father came when he was 3 years old on a boat with his parents, and he became a citizen, legalized the right way. But we can't open up our country to everybody in the world that's depressed from a less free country. I mean, then we would have no country. I mean, I just believe in the borders, and I believe in the rule of law, and I believe in our sovereignty, and that we're exceptional. I just think, don't understand why doesn't everybody think that?
Is there any point of those, like within your own family, that come to a point of agreement, seeing eye to eye on an issue?
Well, right now I can't
Yeah.
think what they are.
Like, would they agree our grandparents did the right
Sure.
thing by coming
Yes.
in legally?
Yes, we've talked about that. Yes, but then there's that feeling on the left that, oh, these poor people are coming with the borders, and we just have to open them up, open arms. Well, sure, I love those people. I know they have terrible things happening in their countries, and they're poor, and they just want to come to a place where they can be able to feed their children. I understand all that, but do it the right way. I'm sorry that that there just has to be the law. You can't just let everybody in, and then that the taxpayers of this country takes care of everybody that's not a citizen of this country. When citizens of our country are hurting, I believe that you take care of your citizens of your country first.
Kind of like you take care of your own family first.
Right, yes, that's right. And so I just firmly believe that. It's not that we don't love people that want to come here for the right reasons. But then, of course, there's the people that are coming here that is destroying our country. We've heard all this about the drug cartels and the trafficking. There's just horrible things that we're allowing to happen in our country that can take over. We have to have means to combat this.
Yeah, I agree. And the aspect, as you bring up with the family dynamic, as you talk, I think of my own family, the next generation. What are they thinking?
Yes.
What are they feeling in the conversations we have around the table? They like to hear my opinion, but I'm wondering, do they feel that it's a safe enough environment to share their own feelings and perspectives? I think that's the challenge before me.
And then, of course, now I'm a grandparent of 6 beautiful grandchildren that I just love them with all my heart. And I think I've got to instill in them this love for our country and talk positive and patriotic to them, because I want them to grow up and love their country, know that we're an exceptional nation. And how are they going to do it? They've got to be taught now, and against some things that I know of teachers that are, I feel, brainwashing our children. And I'm thinking, oh, God forbid, don't let it happen. But they are. I know of specific instances. My grandchildren said, my teacher said this, or my teacher said that. And I think, oh, this makes me sick. It makes me sad. And so you have to combat that. I want them to come to my house and learn, in their books that I have, the presidents of the United States, and let's talk about the 4th of July that we celebrate. It's not just having a picnic and the sparklers and all that stuff, but why do we celebrate? It's the birth of this nation, and so they need to learn that at a young age. And don't forget it. Just don't come together for a picnic and let it go out the window. I mean,
you get to the why
it.
question.
Why?
And
what's this about?
You have your own home school with your own family right there. What you're doing with them. That's good.
That's true. Well,
it's your informal homeschool.
With the grandchildren.
Yeah.
I mean, and you try to have conversation with the adults, the older people in the family too, and just hope that you can come to a little meeting of the minds, or a little come towards more to the center, I guess.
Yeah.
That's good.
So the challenge, I think, before us is twofold. Number one, how can we convince and persuade? But also, how can we relate by having conversations where it's safe to express an opinion without
offending and turning it into a war.
Right.
Or battle. I mean, because it can.
Yeah.
It can. And there's sometimes where I just wish I could have a conversation with so-and-so and so-and-so and express how I feel or what I believe. But from past experiences, I think, I can't do it because they're going to get mad and they go flying out the door or something, or it's just going to be, I feel like it's counterproductive some days. But how can it be? I mean, we have to keep trying, I guess, to have dialogue. It's just like the Republican and Democrat parties. If you don't keep trying to have dialogue and coming together, well, we're in a huge mess. What a mess! The country's divided and stays divided. How do we bring it back?
Right.
How do we bring it back where it should be?
And the means to that is dialogue,
Yeah.
free, open
Right.
exchange
Yeah.
of ideas that, though they may not sit well, yet
Right.
they are tolerated without having to be accepted.
Right. Exactly.
Can we get to that place? And I think that's the challenge.
It's challenging. It is. You
Yeah.
know, and without, I first to say I'm certainly not a scholar or a constitutional scholar, but I just feel like get the basics, get what we're really about, you know.
And Shirley, I so appreciate you bringing that up. She's not a scholar. She doesn't have a doctorate degree. Neither did Sophie. Sophie was one who was politically engaged. And one of the reasons why I had Shirley come on is because she's not an academic. She's not in media circles. She's like you, a person who's interested, a person who is engaged. So I have her come today in order to encourage you in ways that will connect you with what's going on, and to be encouraged as you see someone like Shirley talk about her own family environment and how she's trying to relate in that context. So I just want to thank you for joining me once again, and Shirley, on the Sophie Scholl Society, where we talk religion and politics.
Yay.
Two subjects we're passionate about.
That's right. Thank you.